Hello Jack, hope you're well mate, Thugden here.
Good evening Wardy, long time no speak.
Hello Wardy, how are we son?
I'm going to go ballsy here.
In this video, I'm going to be asking 24 of the biggest League One content creators and fans for their brutally honest final predictions. For the very first time, let's take a look at them. But before we start, I've got to tell you, over 60% of the people that watch the podcast aren't yet subscribed. If that's one of you, please make sure you change that. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers this year, and you could be a real help by hitting that button below. It's free to do so. Let's begin by watching the first prediction. So let's start with Lincoln City, and there's no better place to go than, of course, Jake, my teal-up colleague. Let's see what he's got to say.
All good?
Yep, all good, mate.
Good.
Oh, hair check. There
Hello Wardy, how are we son? It's Jake here from Teal Up. Well, let's be honest, I'm from nowhere else. My channel is dead.
True. Very true. That's probably the most truthful thing that's going to come out of this video. Let's see what he's got to say.
Nice to see you, mate. Thanks for inviting me on to tell you how Lincoln are going to get on for the rest of this season. Well, in one word, it's two words, top 10. I think we're going to finish top 10. Players coming back from injury, new players coming in. Skubala looks like he's finally got his way of playing across to the players. Rico Hackett, Ben House, all making returns, with the likes of Freddie Draper and Joe Taylor offer us something else up front. Ethan Errahan and Ethan Hamilton being back to their very productive best in midfield. I think we've got a chance. I think we're going to come top 10 up the T-lot.
I think Jake's right. I think it is optimistic, but injuries have been a massive reason why Lincoln have struggled this season, and why we're not talking about them as a top 6 contender, because they started the season with Mark Kennedy. That didn't quite work out, but again, injuries will be a big reason why that didn't quite go to plan in his second season in charge. Skubala's come in, very different style of play. That's going to take time. We say on Teal Up quite a lot about being quite patient with Lincoln City, and next season is where I think we're going to start seeing Skubala and Lincoln City really come together. Let's wait and see, but I think top 10, after what has been a very, very turgid campaign with things you'd say out of their control, I still think that's a really good finish for Lincoln. And Jake, top 10, that's what he's gone with. I don't necessarily disagree. I think it's quite optimistic potentially, but it's still very possible. And look, things haven't gone their way this season, but that finish would be very, very good. So Cheltenham are up next, and of course Matt, a good friend of mine, is going to give his brutally honest final prediction. Let's see what he's got to say.
Right then, so Jack has kindly asked me to come onto his channel and give my thoughts on Cheltenham's season and where I think we'll end up. We're going down. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Well, that was quick. I don't think that's the end of it, but maybe if Darryl Clark wasn't in charge, that would be a pretty suitable way of finishing the prediction. But he's changed things, and there's a real sense of hope at Cheltenham. Still a lot of work to do, but a chance is what they wanted. And in the early stages of the season, a chance looked completely impossible. But things have changed.
In all seriousness, I'm worried. We haven't been terrible recently. Like Bolton and Derby, I think we deserve more from the games. We put out good performances and we warranted points that we didn't get. The officiating let us down in both occasions. But there's only so many times that you can put the blame on other things. We had a poor start to the season, which has come back to bite us on the ass. We're now 23rd because Fleetwood have overtook us, so cheers for that one, Nappers. But yeah, we're on a...
Nappers does apologise. Actually, I don't think he does. I don't think he does apologise. But it does show how many teams are down there, and teams are picking up points. Reading as well. It makes the relegation battle so interesting.
Slippery slope to League Two, and goodness knows what's going to happen next season, because we've got so many contracts expiring. Next to no money in the bank. It's worrying. Thanks for having me on, Jack. All the best, and I'll see you all very, very soon.
Thank you very much to Matt. Definitely go and check out his channel, by the way. All of the links will be in the description down below. Yeah, I think you can tell that Matt is worried about their position. However, like I said, after the joke he made in the really early start of that prediction, there's a chance there, and at the start of the season there was no chance. They didn't score a goal in 10 games. They didn't win a game in 10 games. We're speaking about a side now that have got some element of hope, and they're not a side that are guaranteed to go down anymore. And it was very evident very early that there was a manager in Wade Elliott and a squad there that were going to really struggle. They made that change. Darryl Clark's come in, and he's got them competing in a way that's going to make it interesting and could take it to the final stages of the campaign. Let's wait and see. look, maybe the long term, the financial bits that Matt's picked up on there, look, that could be a problem. But looking solely on this season, there is still a possibility that Cheltenham are competing in League One next season. Let's wait and see. For Exeter, I've gone with my good friend and flatmate Harris. Let's see what he's got to say.
Jackie, how are you, mate? It's always an honour to be on this channel. No, looking at final predictions, I think it's going to be very similar to how we finished last season. 14th, 15th, anywhere around there, kind of comfortable safety, but not pushing top 10. I think we started off really well, then we had 2 or 3 months of it was pretty terrible, to be honest. But I think after January we've had a really good transfer window. I think some really good players coming in, and I think we were able to now to just push on and another season of kind of mid-table safety. I'll be happy with it, to be honest.
I think they should be happy with it, because I'll be totally honest, I was a little bit concerned about the statement when Gary Caldwell ultimately was given the vote of confidence very publicly, and it was clear they were going to stick with him no matter what. January was going to be his window. He was going to be able to recruit what he wanted, of course, with those financial restrictions that Exeter do have. Being a fan-owned club, but sustainability definitely top of their list. It was going to be quite an ambitious window for them. And I didn't quite know how that was going to go, because the run going into that transfer window was terrible. Like Harris said there, 2 months of an awful run. I think they didn't win a game from September for about 2 months, which is an awful winless streak. But they've turned a corner, and their window was good. Their squad is in a stronger position. Their results are turning. And so loyalty, I think, is a big reason why Exeter are in this position right now. And with it being so tight down there, a good run, some good results, home and away, they're now 14th or 15th. And like Exeter fan Harris just said there, I think that is probably about right, and would, I'd say, be a very, very good season for Exeter, especially where they were only around, a month ago. For Later Orient, I've gone with very popular podcast, the Orient Outlet podcast. It's Paul giving his thoughts.
Hi everyone, it's Paul here from the Orient Outlook podcast. We think Leyton Orient will probably end up somewhere around 12th or 13th. We consider that a really good season, considering it's our first one back in League One. We've had a recent uptick in form since the Christmas period, but we're suffering a bit now with some injuries. We don't really have great strength in depth anymore, so hopefully we'll be doing ourselves proud come the end of the season.
And that would be a fantastic final position for Leyton Orient. It's been a very, very impressive season. They've stayed up, definitely. They could now deal with a bit of a drop-off if, let's say, that squad depth is being tested. But they're still in a fantastic position. And the way they've approached games too is also really, really good. They haven't switched from that style of play. They're trying to play very proactive, expansive football. They've been promoted and they're staying with that style, and that is really, really promising. I like Leyton Orient. I like what they've done, and Paul, it's a good prediction. I think they could even finish higher than that. Let's wait and see. They just leapfrogged Blackpool in the league table as of recording. I don't think a top 6 finish is on the cards, but to even be around that point at this point of the season is a huge, huge credit to what great work has been done there so far. For Burton Albion, I've gone with Ed. Let's see what he's got to say.
I recently did a League One prediction table of my own after the January window. I put Burton Albion 17th on that, and I don't really have any reason to change from that at this stage. It's a tricky call, I think, to make for an exact position, especially with Burton being part of this really tight pack in the bottom half of the table. It's made doubly hard by the fact that the sample size of Burton Albion under Martin Patterson is really small at this stage. There's so many questions we have about the short, medium and long term of this team, and we're not going to be able to get answers to those until down the line. What I will say is that whilst Patterson has proved very easy to warm to as a person, there's not a lot so far that indicates the level of tactician he'll become here. That and the uncertainty that comes with a much changed, mostly lonely strike force. It's the reason I've got to favour a more cautious 17th place prediction as opposed to a more confident pursuit of the top half before the season is done.
I think that's a really interesting point from Ed there. Tactically, a distinctive switch in style of play. Maybe that's not for now. Galvanising, I think, is that number one priority. And then, of course, staying up. But if that means you've got to lift everybody at the football club, fans, staff, players, then so be it. Wait until the summer, potentially, to start seeing some more, I guess, details being improved. But I'm with Ed. I think they are going to stay up. 17th probably is about right. They are still in that pack. Are they in a relegation battle? Are they just one of the worst teams in the bottom half? Again, we'll have to wait and see. But I think Burton, they will stay up. And 17th is about right, I think. For Port Vale, I've gone with AB7. Great YouTube channel. Definitely go and check him out. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hello, thanks for having me on, Jack. It is greatly appreciated representing the Vale for this video. Come the end of the season, I think Vale will finish in 12th place. We have 2 games in hand over most teams, which are winnable games, and with it looking like Darren Moore will take charge of Vale after recently just sacking Andy Crosby, I think we have what it takes to comfortably finish in League One.
That's interesting from Alfie there. 12th, I'd say, is very optimistic. That's me being totally honest. However, I love the fact that he's backing his side. I like the fact he's backing the new manager, Darren Moore, who has since been appointed as their new head coach. Long-term contract, extremely long-term contract as well, from what we know. And somebody who's going to come in and galvanise. Again, it's talking about galvanising a team that does need a lift. Has he ever been extremely tactical? No, I don't think he has. Is he somebody that is a very, very good people manager? Absolutely. So for that reason, I think 12th, yeah, it's probably not where I put them, but it does show the belief and hope and excitement around the Darren Moore appointment. At Stevenage, it's time to hear from the happiest man on the planet. I stand by that. He really is. Matt, let's see what he's got to say.
Hi Jack, it's Matt Foley here from the Stevenage Football Club podcast. First of all, what an incredible season that we've had this season. To think that we're involved in the League One playoff race is a bit of a pinch me moment for all of us Stevenage supporters. But in terms of where we're going to finish, I believe that we are going to finish in 5th place.
Wow. 5th. That would be some season. And you can't put it past them. They're in a very, very strong position. They're just outside the top 6 at the moment in 7th. They have got a game in hand on Oxford, who are in 6th. Recently, their form has dipped. But 5th. It's bold, but it's Matt Farley. And when he believes, normally it happens.
Which is an incredible achievement for us. The reason why I think we're going to finish 5th in League One is not only have we got a manager who knows how to win matches in this division and get teams over the dotted line, a lot of the new players that we recruited for this season in League One have only ever experienced making the playoffs over the last few years.
Great point. Definitely agree with that. They've got a fantastic backbone of players that know what it's like to get into the playoffs, and I'll come back to this later, but when they do, and if they do get in that top 6 like Matt is predicting, it's not going to get any easier for anybody else.
Know how to get there with the original players that are good enough for the level. I think our Stevenage will finish in 5th place in League One, making the League One playoffs. Up the borough.
Well, it's bold, like I've said there, but like I say, Matt is one of the, nicest but also the happiest people on the planet, and he's also someone who knows Stevenage like the back of his hand, and he is spot on with the point around the players being 100% capable of getting there because of what they've done before. But also Steve Evans, he's not everybody's cup of tea, let's be honest, but he's also an extremely detailed manager, but also experienced gaffer that knows what it takes to get there, and when they do get there, be extremely difficult to take down. Look, it's close, it's tight, that top 6 race is fascinating. There isn't loads of teams, I don't think, in contention. It's probably around 8, but it's very tight. That 8 is extremely tight. He's gone for 5th, Stevenage. Let's wait and see. Matt, thank you very much. At Charlton, it's been a very, very poor season. Tyler, let's see what he's got to say.
Unfortunately for Charlton, I can see us going down. Even with Nathan Jones in charge now, the team is just so deflated, lack of confidence. Our run of form is terrible. The games we have coming up as well isn't going to help. And yeah, as much as I think Jones is a good appointment, I don't see us anyway in staying up. I'm going to go 21st for Charlton.
Well, it's quick, it's snappy, and it's what I asked for. It's a brutally honest prediction. 21st, of course, would relegate Charlton. That is the big headline from that video. I see a lot of similarities with Charlton and Oxford last season. I think I've said this before. You think they can't go down, and of course we didn't go down, but that's the point. You think they can't go down, and it does get worse and worse and worse, and then there'll be one result, I think, that will switch it, and in the end, by the skin of your teeth, you'll just about stay up. That's my prediction for Charlton. I don't think they're going to go down. I don't think Nathan Jones will allow them to go down, but it might get worse. But because it is so tight there, in that bottom four, and just outside that bottom four where Charlton currently are, you've got to start picking up results sooner rather than later. And that's the honest truth, because teams like Reading are improving. Fleetwood won't give up. Cheltenham won't give up. Port Vale have just appointed a new manager. These are teams that are also looking for that bounce, and you've got to be one of them. And if you're not, no team is too big to go down, but Nathan Jones is a very, very good appointment, and that squad should not be where it is. I don't think it's built correctly to be in the top 6, where Charlton would have loved to have been, but it's not a side that should be getting relegated from League One. But it's where it is now, and that's something that has to be addressed, and Nathan Jones will be fully aware of that. Let's wait and see. Tyler, quite rightly, and I can't critique it, it's an honest prediction, and at the moment, the points per game, the morale and feeling around the football club does scream relegation. For Barnsley, it's time to go on tour. That's right, Taylor from Barnsley on tour. Let's see what he's got to say.
What's up, guys? My name's Taylor from Barnsley on tour. Yes, my hair is still in braids from my holiday, but I thought
that was going to be a part of the prediction. I thought there were going to be some clever pun there. I can't think of one. Let me know. I don't know. I felt as if the hair, the braids, it was going to lead to a prediction, but it's not. It seemed to just be making us aware of the situation. Don't mind it.
Barnsley will finish 5th or 6th. I think we've got a good squad. We've got some good players, but I don't think we'll have the consistency to get any higher. I think we'll finish at the bottom end of the playoffs and hopefully have a chance of promotion through the playoffs.
I'd probably say that's about right. I don't see them finishing in the top 2 or even pushing for that top 2 in the later stages of the season. But I do see a top 6 finish. Neil Collins has improved Barnsley. It started off quite poorly with a concern over exactly which direction that football club was going in. But in the end now, it does look like quite a smart appointment. And they are looking like a team that can cause anybody a problem. They are prone to a very bad result at home. That's been a huge reason why they maybe aren't competing with the Pompeys, the Boltons, the Peterboroughs, the Derbys. Maybe, I don't think later on in the season they could still do it. I don't know. I do agree with Taylor though. I think 5th, 6th is about right for Barnsley. For Shrewsbury, I've gone with Jack from Shrewsbury Analysis. Let's see what he's got to say here.
Jack from Shrewsbury Analysis here. I think Shrewsbury Town will finish 17th this season in League One. I think getting Paul Hurst back in will mean we've got enough to keep us up, but I do think offensive limitations within the squad will prevent us from pushing on any further and kind of challenging for a mid-table finish.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Offensively, they have been very, very poor, and I agree with Hurst coming in. That could be another example of a team getting a decision in the dugout correctly and giving that boost that football club needed. It wasn't going well under Matt Taylor, and everybody knew that it was going to eventually end in him losing his job. That was the feeling, I think, and it did. Paul Hurst now has come in, he's been reunited with that role, and already we're seeing a boost, we're seeing an improvement, and everybody is being lifted. I use the word again, galvanisation, and that should be enough to keep them in the league. They were in a false position. They were in 12th, 11th, 13th for quite a long time this season. And I always felt, looking at Shrewsbury and the way they're playing and the results they're getting, that wasn't right. They played quite a few more games than anybody else, but also were scoring late on, getting a little bit lucky, which is fine, but they weren't deserving of their result. And eventually that does normally catch up with the team. Not that it's not good to get a result maybe where you're not the better team on the day, but that will catch up. If you can't improve, that eventually will catch up on you sooner rather than later. And it did for Shrewsbury because they got dragged into it. Then, of course, as soon as that did happen and they did tumble down the table, Hurst has come in and already has improved things. Do worry about the lack of goals up top. Should have been better in recruiting a striker or 2 or maybe even 3, 4 players. That didn't happen. but I still think there's worse teams in the league than Shrewsbury, and Hurst, like I say, is a big reason why they're going to stay up. At Reading, let's speak to Matt. Does he think they've got enough to stay in League One? Let's take a look.
Hi, Matt Lansley from the Elm Park Royals Reading FC fan podcast here. My prediction for Reading FC this season is to finish 17th. There is quite a clump of teams, really from about 15th down, that are within 1 or 2 wins of each other currently. And Reading FC, since the mid to end of November, have really shown themselves to actually be on form. A top 10, top half pushing team. I don't expect us to overtake and catch up with all those teams above us, but I'd certainly expect Reading to pull out of this relegation fight. They've shown they've got the quality. Recent wins against the likes of Derby and draws against Leyton Orient and Oxford United, informed teams in this division, has really shown what this Reading FC team can do. Off the field matters might obviously change that, but purely based on form and kind of how the Reading team are playing at the moment, I'd predict us to finish 17th.
And that would be a phenomenal finish, considering what is going on at that football club. I probably around a month ago would have put Reading down as one of the nailed-on relegation candidates come the end of the season. And they probably still are a candidate, but we're not there yet. The improvement and the belief within that group, considering, and look, a lot of it is maybe rumour, but the way that they're being treated, that's the staff, that's the fans, that's the players, they haven't given up. That's the fans, the staff, and the group of players. They have not given up, and they easily could have done, and nobody would have blamed them if they had just gone, yeah, this isn't right, this doesn't feel right, we're not being treated fairly, let's just not give everything. Because there's so much more attention on the hierarchy and the awful management of that football club. But actually what we've seen is a group of players step up, and a staff collective step up, and a supporter base really, really step up. And they've now got themselves in a place where safety is 110% a possibility. And that is a massive, massive credit to that football club. So, look, as an Oxford fan, don't always see eye to eye with Reading, but in this case, to stay up against all of the odds, I think is a fantastic achievement. Not done yet, of course, but with Matt giving his honest prediction and adding mine to it as well, I think they've done a great job, and I think they will stay up. For Oxford United, I'm going to give my prediction after this, but I've gone with Ollie Haynes. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hi mate, thanks for having me. It's Ollie here from Top 30 Club and Oxford United blog. Where do I think we're going to finish this season? Well, I'm going to be optimistic and say 6th position. We've got key players back from injury. We've got amazing signings in January. Owen Dale, Will Goodwin. Most excitingly, Jay Matete in midfield. Serious game changer for us. And Des Buckingham has time on the training pitch now. Implements some of that structure, some of those ideas that seemed to walk out the door earlier in the season, along with Liam Manning. Cheers, mate.
And I'm going to be extremely boring and agree with Ollie and say that 6th is my prediction for Oxford United too, and that is optimistic. It's going to take some more quality performances, some more quality results, and some consistency, because I'd say that inconsistency post Liam Manning has been a big reason why we've slipped down the table. But after a very good January, some really, really exciting players joining the football club, players returning to fitness, a massive boost now. Des Buckingham's got options. He's got different ways of beating an opposition and ways to approach games of football, and that can only be a positive for him. The excuses are probably now lessening, but as a fan base, that's exactly what you want. You don't want your manager to come out and say that injuries are a massive reason why we're not being successful, because we could all see it. But now there's plenty of a chance to see a switch, to see a change, and to see improvement. And the last 4 games, I think we've started to see that. Let's see that continue, because it's got to continue if we do want to finish around 6th, because, like I say, lots of quality surrounding Oxford United at the moment. For Carlisle, it's Blue Army TV time. It's Liam giving his thoughts.
Hello, it's Liam from Blue Army TV, representing Carlisle United, and honestly, I can't really see us getting out of this current predicament we seem to be in.
And that's interesting, because I don't think anyone has predicted their team to be relegated yet. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we've seen everybody say they're going to be safe. I think even Matt at Cheltenham said that he's worried, but there's still hope. We've still got, of course, Ben from Fleetwood to come. But Liam, he's being honest. He's being very honest indeed, and I like that.
But I think
maybe I've spoken too soon. Maybe he's about to just say, I don't know, maybe I've paused too quickly. I've heard a but here, and it's intriguing me.
Probably bottom.
No, I was right. He's got the bottom.
Might be avoidable.
No, I'm wrong again. Let's stop pausing it, Jack. You're ruining this. You're really ruining it. I'm so sorry, Liam. Carry on. I'm not going to pause again.
Also, I'm going to say 22nd.
Quite an abrupt end, but I think we caught that. 22nd for Carlisle United, and I would agree with it. They're not going to stay up in my eyes. They have got new owners that are looking to, I think, potentially now build a team that are going to be extremely good in League 2. Maybe that's not what they would have said in the middle of January or the start of January, but the results not improving since quite a few players have joined the football club. A switch in expectation could have been on the cards quite quickly. And I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. Of course, staying up would be unbelievable, but now assessing where they are, it's not the worst thing to have happened to a club, right? I think. Quite an abrupt end. I think we caught it. 22nd, Liam has gone with for Carlisle United, and I agree. I think they are going to get relegated. They've been extremely ambitious with new owners in January. Lots of new faces joining the club, but I still do see them getting relegated and going down, and that's a massive shame because I think Carlisle have, like I say, shown a real sense of ambition, and they've tried to recruit quite aggressively in the window, and they are now building a team that I think are going to be extremely good in Sky Bet League 2. Of course, staying up would have been the hope, and when you recruit that number of players in one window, there is a risk element to it that they're not all going to gel and it's not all going to come together very quickly. Sticking with Paul Simpson, waiting until next season, having a very, very good team in that division, I don't think is the end of the world. I agree with Liam. I don't see Carlisle United staying up this season. The first person, of course, to actually say their side are going to get relegated. I respect it. We asked for brutally honest predictions. For Bristol Rovers, of course, Charlie's going to give his thoughts. Let's see what he's got to say.
Cheers for having me on, Wardy. I think Rovers are going to finish in 10th, which is the exact same position that we are now. Unfortunately, we're just way too inconsistent. We can take 4 points off Portsmouth. We can draw against Stevenage. We can beat Oxford and Bolton. But against the teams around us, we just lose and have off days like we did last night against Fleetwood.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think inconsistency is their biggest downfall this season. And like Charlie's quite rightly pointed out, they can beat the teams in that top 6 currently, teams that are pushing to be in that top 6, but around them and teams below them, they are prone to such a sloppy, silly result. And we all know that the biggest way of being successful in League 1 especially is being consistent. You've got to show an element of consistency, and I just mentioned it with Oxford. We had a great start, we've been inconsistent, but that great start has got us into a place where we've been allowed to be slightly more inconsistent and still be in the shout. Bristol Rovers, it's been all season, and that's why they are not in that conversation, and a conversation that they would have really wanted to be when the first game began. Of course, Matt Taylor's come in. I think next season we're going to start really seeing what he's about, but I really like Matt Taylor. I speak to Harris quite a lot as an Exeter fan. Of course, he's an absolute hero there. I think he's only going to be successful. I think he's a very, very good manager. I think tactically, he's a very, very good manager as well, with a very distinctive way of playing. Maybe it's going to take a little bit more time to see it, but next season, they've got a very, very strong appointment there. They're not going to get relegated. They're not going to be in the top 6, I don't think. 10th, mid-table, just in that top 10. I think it's fair. At Fleetwood, there's no prizes for guessing who I've gone with, of course. It's Ben. Cod's Vlogs. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hello, Jack. Thanks for having me on, mate. Fleetwood fan here. I think Fleetwood will finish in the bottom 4 still.
No.
22nd is what I'm going for, not bottom. Not out of it, unfortunately. I still think there's a lot of work to be done. I just think the lack of quality, the lack of experience, and we've left ourselves with too much work to be done. Unfortunately, I think we'll go down this season.
It's going to be a chase, it's going to be a hunt, and it's going to require one hell of a revival. But I've been half joking on T-Lot with Nappers and also being deadly serious in saying that I do believe Fleetwood are not down and out. We're recording this, and Ben recorded this sort of start of February time, and like I said there, they've probably left a little bit too much work to do in a short amount of time, but it's not to a point where it's impossible. It's not to a point where it can't happen. The only issue Fleetwood have got is, and it's a big issue, and the same issue that Carlisle have got, and Cheltenham, and maybe less so Cheltenham, but in recent weeks it's been highlighted, you've got teams improving around them. Now, it's clear Fleetwood in their window, it was about getting rid of players that weren't going to be there next season, whether that's in League 2 or in League 1, and they've done that well. There is a lot of youth in that squad now, a lot of young talent. Now, that could bode in their favour. It could be that fearless, fresh start, nothing to lose way of approaching games of football and the end of the season. That could work a treat. It could also go on the other end and just, a side that haven't really got an idea where they're going and they haven't got that experience and they're going to plummet down the league table. It's just not going to be enough. And when things don't go very well, heads go down, it's a nightmare. It could go one of two ways. But they've been very sensible, and I think the prediction is brutally honest. But I don't think Fleetwood are down and out. I don't think they are. I don't think Ben is saying that, by the way. But I think I've got a slightly weird feeling Fleetwood could still stay in League One next season. Let's see. For Bolton, we've pulled out the big guns. It's Thogden giving his thoughts on a side, pushing to finish in the top 2. Let's take a look.
Hello, Jack. Hope you're well, mate. Thogden here. Thanks for having me on the channel, first of all. Real pleasure. And my prediction for Bolton this season, well, we finished 5th last year, didn't we? We got through the playoffs, lost to Barnsley, didn't even have a second Wembley trip. But this time we're out the Mickey Mouse Trophy. I don't see we won it, so I shouldn't be calling it Mickey Mouse. But it means we can focus on the league. And we've had some good signings in the January transfer window. I like Aaron Collins. I like Ogbeta. I think they add depth. And if we do lose Dion Charles or some one of the key members, we're ready to replace them. So I'm going to go ballsy here. 2nd place, automatics. That's all I care about. I'm not fussed about winning the league. I just want to get promoted. And I think we'll do it this year. Ian Evatt is a top-class manager. Everybody's fighting for him. And we see that in the recent games.
Promotion for Bolton, according to Theo. And I would agree. I think it's between Pompey, Bolton and Derby for the top 2, and I do see Bolton in there as champions. I'm in that same boat. I don't think Oxford are going to be first or second, I can say that, but I do agree. Title, getting promoted, it's about getting out of Sky Bet League 1 for a lot of these teams, and Bolton are well and truly in that boat. Great squad, great January. Aaron Collins is a marquee signing at this level. Didn't need to do loads in the window, but what they did do was extremely good. Let's wait and see. But 2nd, says Theo, and I would agree. I think Bolton, I don't believe in jinx, and hopefully I'm not going to jinx Bolton. I do think they're going to go up. They've been great this season. A bit more consistency maybe, but other than that, they're in a great place and they've got a great squad. For Wycombe, we're going to head over to the Wycombe Way to hear his thoughts on where he thinks Wycombe are going to finish come the end of the season.
Yes, guys, it's Wycombe, so thank you for having me on. I think we'll finish 15th. The other reason is we haven't had the best season, and I just can't see us getting higher than 15th this season. But hopefully next season we can start kicking on. Hopefully we'll be up there in the playoffs.
I agree. I think it's about next season for Wycombe slightly. I don't think they're going to go down. We have seen an improvement since the January window, and Bloomfield was backed. He was backed in January because we're starting to see a real switch in the way that side of recruiting and also playing as well, and that's the next stage. But I agree, I think it's about next season. I think it's about looking ahead to what's next, and that team is much stronger, that squad is much stronger, and that team is now starting to play in a different way. I think Napperson and Telop, he's never seen a Wycombe team move so fast. He's never seen a Wycombe complete that many passes. It was so different. Gareth Ainsworth, it was not about that. It was about getting that ball out of the box, up the pitch as quickly as possible, hurting teams in a direct manner. That isn't really what Bloomfield is all about. Of course, he was a player under Gareth Ainsworth, but his philosophy and style of play and principles are very different, and their window was good. I don't think they're going to get relegated. I think it is about next season, about looking ahead to what is to come, and that squad is in a much stronger position, but also playing a very different way. And that transition was always going to take time. Growing pains in football clubs are exactly the same with anything else. It's going to take a little bit of patience, and I agree. I think 15th might be slightly too low. I think they probably would finish higher than that. I'd probably go around 13th to mid-table. I think we will see a resurgence in the second half of the season, but fair play. It's a strong position, but a great point about looking ahead. For Cambridge United, it's Fusion Josh giving his brutally honest prediction. Let's take a listen.
At the start of the season, mate, I predicted Cambridge to finish 18th, and I'm actually going to stick with that 18th prediction. And my reason for that, since Neil Harris has come in, he's brought the experience, even the signings, Lyle Taylor, Macaulay Bonne. I don't think we would have got them signings if it wasn't for Neil Harris and if Mark Bonner was in charge. I think the experience, and we had so many clean sheets this season, we got more depth off the bench now, 18th and potentially higher, but we just need to stay out this season, and I think that'll be a success. So yeah, Bolton today, not too sure how that one go, but 18th place.
Well, I think that Bolton game got postponed 5 minutes in, so that didn't quite go to plan. But the prediction itself, I do agree with. I think Cambridge will stay up. And Josh makes a great point about Neil Harris. It just does feel more shored up under his management. It feels much more organised. It feels as though there's a clear plan. He's got a way of keeping this team in the league. The recruitment matched that with the likes of Bond coming in, with the likes of Lyle Taylor coming in, tall, physical, back-to-goal strikers, going quite direct. Mark Bonner, I loved him as a coach. I think he will still have a very successful managerial career. Where that is next, I'm not entirely sure. But we're speaking about someone that is a bit more expansive, playing a bit more of an attractive style at times. I think he will show that in his next job. But that isn't what Cambridge need at this point. And it's a bit of a shame that it's taken him to be sacked for us to maybe have to change the way that we look at Cambridge. And priority is important. Staying up is the number one sort of take from this season after what has been pretty up and down, but was quite down for a large time. Let's see, but I do agree with Josh. I think they will stay up, and Neil Harris, very, very clear way of approaching the rest of the campaign. I think they will remain in League One. For Wigan, I'm going to chat to Charlie and hear his brutally honest prediction. Let's take a listen for the very first time.
So where are Wigan Athletic going to finish this season? Well, the -8 points deduction has definitely made our season a lot harder than it needs to be, and ultimately is going to impact our final league position. But in the summer I said that I just wanted us to finish mid-table, and that's where we are, and that's where I do think we are going to be heading. But there's still a long way to go, and some of our key players haven't actually completed a full senior season before, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic to follow, and I just hope they can finish strong, because the season's been great so far. But without the deduction, we'd be performing around 9th place, there or thereabouts. So if we can finish 12th, I would be over the moon with that, and that would also mean that we've finished our objective of finishing mid-table, so I said they would.
That is brilliant. I mean, if you know the meme that Nappers was a part of, and look, it's come up quite a lot recently. I don't think it was as prominent as it was, but T-Lop, I think, enhanced it, and Charlie, it's clever. It's very clever, and he did say they would, and famously Nappers did say they would, and it was against what it all comes together. It's a great bit of banter, and I like it. And Nappers, he hasn't seen this yet. I haven't seen that yet, but I'll be sending it straight to him after this. But looking at the prediction itself, I think it's right. I think Wigan to stay up and to be in a mid-table spot at this point, and probably come the end of the season, is a fantastic place after that points deduction. It got them into positive points quite quickly, and then there was a bit of a drop-off, and maybe it was that sort of relief, and then we've done it now, slightly take our foot off the gas. But since then, it's been a bit inconsistent. I'd say very inconsistent, and hence why they are mid-table. They've done a very good job considering the deduction, and considering they started with a minus points tally to get themselves into a spot where they are going to be safe. And like Charlie said, their injuries, a very young group of players still learning their trade. Next season's where we start really seeing what this club's all about, and what Sean Maloney's about, and what some of these younger players can do, starting from a fair position, if you like. Let's wait and see, but he said they would, and Nappers famously said they would. Mid-table, Wigan, it's a good call. Let's hear the Derby prediction from the Rams Talk podcast. Of course, Derby in that top 2 hunt as of recording. Let's see what the fans have got to say.
Good evening, Jack. It's Jake here from Rams Talk podcast. Thank you very much for having me on. Where are Derby going to finish this season? That is a really tough one. I mean, we're up in second at the minute. I wouldn't say we necessarily look solid in that position, but I think we'll finish 3rd if I had to give an exact number. I hope we'll win the playoffs, but you never know. We might sneak into that top 2, up the Rams.
I think, they are in the top 2 at the moment, and they are in a 3-horse race in my eyes. I think Peterborough maybe slipped away from that now. I think Barnsley, Oxford, Stevenage, maybe Blackpool. Still, we're speaking about a slightly different mini-league table below the likes of Bolton, Derby and Pompey. Not because the points study suggests that. I just think later on in the season, they are the stronger outfits, and we will see them competing in that trio. Not to the level that we saw with Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth and Ipswich last season. I don't think it's going to be as runaway as that, but I think we're going to slightly maybe see a disconnect. with the points maybe in a few weeks' time. And of course, there's plenty more games to go. It could be a month's time, but again, that's time will tell type of stuff. But I agree with Jake. I think Derby are in that mix, and if I had to rank the three of those, I would probably say Derby are third, and that is probably why third is a sensible prediction. They are in second at the moment. He's got a great smile on him, doesn't he, Jake? So I think he's saying third, but secretly, second is still definitely on the forefront of his mind. Let's wait and see how it goes. But Derby, definitely in the mix, definitely in that top three contention, and I don't think they're going to be champions worthy, but second or third, definitely second. That'd be fantastic. For Portsmouth, I mean, who could I've gone to? Who could I've called? Who could I've asked? Well, I've asked Tom from 4-0 written all over it. Tom, it's weird. He's on my screen, but it's a pre-recorded video. I want to say hello to him, but he's not going to reply, so we'll just watch the video and see what he's got to say.
Good evening, Wardy. Long time no speak. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to say second as a final prediction for Pompey. I was a little bit more conservative in the summer and went for third, but I just think with that added bit of quality, a little bit of energy that we added to the squad in January, it gives us that last little lift. Various players of profile that me and you have spoken about at length before, twinned with that never say die attitude, I think might just be what gets us over the line.
Second place, Tom says, and of course, Theo at Bolton said second. We've had Jake from the Rams Talk podcast say third, but second was definitely in there. No one is saying they're going to win the league yet. Nobody's saying they're going to be champions. One of them will be champions, I think. We haven't listened to Kaden yet from Peterborough. Maybe he says champions. I don't quite think that would be... I don't think that's going to happen. But one of the three I believe are going to be champions. That I don't think is too controversial. But nobody has had the... Not bottle, that's harsh. But nobody's had the courage, maybe, to say they're going to win the league. And that's interesting. That's something to take away from this video. Nobody yet are saying they're going to win the league. We've got a few teams say that they're going to finish in the top two, a few in the top six, even some saying they're going to get relegated, but nobody is saying they're going to be champions. That's quite fascinating. As for Pompey, I don't quite know what separates first and second at this moment in time, but I would say second place is about right. Derby and Bolton will continue to push them, but they're in a great position. Injuries haven't really disrupted them. It should have disrupted them, but it hasn't. They're continuing to plough on. Great mentality, great mental strength to find ways to win and still carry on what's been a fantastic campaign. John Massinio, Pompey have done a fantastic job, and Tom, he remains confident, but he's not saying they're going to win the league. That's interesting. For Peterborough, I'm going to chat to Kaden. He's going to give his brutally honest prediction. But like I said just a second ago, nobody yet in the Derby, Barnsley, even Oxford, but the Bolton and Pompey pack as well. None of them has said they're going to win the league. And this is the last chance, I think, for somebody in this video to say they're going to win the league. Is Kaden going to do it? Peterborough, slight drop off recently, but a couple of weeks ago, I don't think that would have been a silly prediction whatsoever. Less so now. Let's take a look.
Right, where do I think Posh will finish come the end of the season is a very difficult question to answer. We've lost the last couple of games, although as a whole we've consistently performed throughout the season. We were expecting to finish a lot lower this season, although currently we've done a lot better than we did do last season. We've improved our away form this season and we've become a lot more of a threatening side, but there are still 2 or 3 teams that I think might finish above us. And I am being a bit negative by saying this, but I think we might finish 4th place, which will still be a good finish for Posh. It still gives us a great chance to get promoted through the playoffs.
So there we go then. Nobody is predicting their team to win the league. I know we've got a few more, but I don't see those saying they're going to be champions. So that's interesting. I think 4th for Peterborough is about right. I did say a couple of weeks ago, though, you can't look past them for top 2 or champions because the metrics and the way they're playing and their strength, you know, just taking down opposition, but also finding ways to win in different circumstances. They were doing all of those things. Last couple of weeks, there has been a drop-off. They've dropped some very silly points. They haven't looked as strong. Injuries to that front line have been a massive disappointment. Mason Clark has been injured. He didn't play the last game. Poku as well didn't play the last game as well. And we are seeing, I think, a difference with those players not being there. And I think Gab said on his show, the biggest way of Peterborough doing it or not doing it, and the biggest factor in them doing it or not doing it, and that's top 2, is the fact that injuries are going to hinder them or can hinder them. And that is turned out to be exactly right. Injuries are probably the reason why the last couple of weeks there has been a drop-off and why things aren't as rosy. I still think 4th is a great place. They'll be hoping their playoff campaign does go better than last season. But there we go. Kaden, he's gone 4th for Peterborough. For Blackpool, I'm going to speak to Lee Charles. He's going to give his brutally honest prediction from, I'm guessing, from the orange seats, Bloomfield Road, live from the stands. Let's take a look what he's got to say.
Hi Jack. You want to know how we feel we're going to go on this season? Most Blackpool fans think we can get in the playoff position. So
do you think most do?
No, probably don't. No, most probably don't, but I think we still can get in the playoffs, but it's going to be tough. What do you think, Jane?
Yeah, I know, absolutely believe. You've got to believe, haven't you? You've got to hope and you've got to believe, or else why'd you bother? Yeah, I absolutely believe we're good enough to make the playoffs. We like to make a nice late charge. We're not too far off. I haven't really seen anyone in this league that's better than us, so, you know, if we can just get that confidence away from home, start winning away from home.
Indeed.
You know, we've got the home form cracked. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a trophy win and a playoff final win. So 2 trips to Wembley would be very nice.
Well, it's optimistic, and you can't put it past Blackpool. You never quite know what's going to happen with Blackpool late on in the season. They always find a way of getting in that chat, getting in that race, and going on one fantastic run and ending the season in a strong spot. Have they left it too late? Have they let consistency or inconsistency creep in? Possibly, and that probably is going to be their downfall. And the away form, it's a great point. Their away form has been pretty atrocious. Away from home, they just aren't as good. At home, they've been fantastic. I think they've played slightly more games, but at home, they are the best team in the division. Away from home, they're in the bottom half, and that is not acceptable. It's not good enough. If you want to be in the top 6, you have to be as good or, well, better than a bottom half team on the road. That's just the truth of it. I like the chat. I love the in the stands aspect of it. I love the honesty. I think it's going to make for a really interesting end of the season. And there you have it. All 24 League One clubs with a brutally honest prediction from a fan or content creator. Hopefully you did enjoy a slightly different video this time around, but I think it was quite fascinating to hear what they've got to say, the fans, the people that know the football club best. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and most importantly, give me your thoughts in the comment section down below, not just of these predictions, but yours too. I'll be replying and responding to all of those as per usual. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Jack Ward Football Podcast, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care.